In that instance, Qiao Hao had just refreshed her page, and when she saw his response, her lips curled into a smile uncontrollably. She didn't continue to reply Lu Jinian on Weibo, but every now and then, her attention would be drawn to him, sitting beside her. In the car, even though the two of them didn't talk, the atmosphere felt particularly affectionate. When the car drove past a rather old KTV, Qiao Hao thought back to when Lu Jinian and her had started to grow closer in the first year of high school. Every year, he would give her a birthday present, up until the year she graduated. Since then, she had not received any of his presents. Back then, it was also coincidentally when their relationship started to gradually grow to become colder. In high school, she treated her classmates at that KTV many times. After the car had long passed the KTV, Qiao Hao turned her head and looked over at Lu Jinian. "Who would have thought that you remembered my birthday? I thought you'd have forgotten it long ago." Lu Jinian stared straight at the neon lights on the street in front. The lights endlessly flashed across his face, which made his expression look slightly blurred. He was silent for around 5 seconds, then said, "I've never forgotten. Her birthday, his mother's birthday, and the anniversary of his mother's passing were the most important dates these past years." He'd never forgotten them once. Qiao Hao's heart trembled, and an unspeakable anxiousness came over her. She held her breath and asked, as though to confirm something, "You always remembered my birthday? After celebrating 7 birthdays, how could I forget?" As Lu Jinian said those words, his tone seemed to reveal an indescribable sentiment. Even though the birthday gifts he gave her in her youth were modest, he would spend the day with her every year. From the first year of high school till the first year of university, it had been 7 years. In those 7 years, he had fought his very hardest to love her. 7 years? Those words instantly reminded Qiao Hao of their youth, and the days she persisted in loving him. She had cherished every one of his gifts, like they were the world's most precious treasures. Qiao Hao's brows suddenly furrowed. That wasn't right. She only received 6 presents in the past. Why did he say 7 years? Did it include this year's present? Qiao Hao thought of asking Lu Jinian when her phone suddenly rang. It was an unknown number. Qiao Hao swallowed her words and picked up the phone. The sound of a polite woman's voice came from the other line. "Pardon me, am I speaking to Mr. Qiao Jiamu's wife, Mrs. Qiao Hao?" Qiao Hao was stunned for a moment. "And you are?" "It's the hospital. Mr. Qiao has just woken up. I called the Qiao family, but nobody was available to take the call, so I could only contact you. I'll be right there." Qiao Hao hung up the phone and said to Lu Jinian beside her, "We have to go to the hospital. Brother Jiamu just woke up." Lu Jinian gave a gentle nod and silently turned the car around, towards Qiao Jiamu's hospital. Along the way, from the bottom of his heart, he thought, with Qiao Jiamu awake, would that be the end of them? Along the way, from the bottom of her heart, she thought, with Brother Jiamu awake and how well their current relationship was, could they still be friends like this after the marriage was over? Along the way, the two of them had different thoughts. One was afraid of breaking up, the other thought of starting anew.